Good evening, gentlemen. I just have finished reading one of the books by Shashi Tharoor, and I have also read a few articles about the British rule in India. The general theme of these articles and Shashi's books is that the British denuded India of some $3 trillion during their almost 200 years of ascendancy in the Indian subcontinent. And one gentleman goes on to say that in the year 1700, India controlled 26% of the world's economy. Very true. But it's not simple. 1700 was the period when the Emperor Aurangzeb was ruling India, and he died in 1707. And this was the period when he was at his most boycotted shape or appearance. He had broken innumerable Hindu temples. Somebody says 5,000, 10,000, God knows how many. And in addition, he had enforced what is called the Jizziya tax on the Hindus, that is the non-Muslims. So India did have a good economy, but it was applicable only to the rulers. The vast majority of Indians who were the Hindus were nothing short of serfs. You can well imagine, I think it was Jahangir who once decided that he needed to become a slayer, a killer who is respected, and he did it by cutting off the head of one of the Hindu men who was working with him. So this was the type of society which was in existence at that time. And whether you had 26% of the world's economy or whatever it is irrelevant, because the vast majority of Indians, that the Hindus, never got anything. Only a few of the Hindu Rajas and Maharajas who connived with the Mughals, the Muslims, were able to survive, and that also had created two kings, and they were given some amount of freedom. Gentlemen, the point I'm trying to make is that everything is not simple in life. Certainly, the British denuded India of 2 trillion or 3 trillion, whatever you call it, dollars. But the fact remains that they emancipated the Hindus. Now that is something we people want to deny now. All the Mughal emperors and most of the Muslim rulers in India did enforce the Jizya tax on non-Muslims. The purpose was very simple. As per the Quran, it was a tax which was paid to the government to allow these men and women to practice their faith. And if you were to practice your faith, you had to pay this tax. Gentlemen, the tax was not the only thing, because it was also to be paid in the very humiliating circumstances. And if you didn't pay it, you ended up by being beheaded. Again, the Jesus priests who have gone through India and the 16th century, even from the time of Akbar and Babur and others, they have written their accounts, and it's clear from these accounts that most of the Muslim rulers, including the Mughals, were in the habit of making pyramids of the skulls of Hindu whom they had killed. So, gentlemen, the point which I'm coming to is that the Indian economy may have been good, it may have been one of the best in the world at that time, but it did not percolate down or trickle down to the men, and women who were the vast majority of India, the Hindus. I think there's no parallel in world history where almost 250 million people were so subjugated, so terrorized, that they allowed almost 100,000 of the Turks and the Afghans to rule over them. I mean, Shashi Tharoor and the others may well try to look into this aspect of this entire game. You can't say that the economy was very good and the British took the money away and that means we must condemn the British. No, it doesn't mean anything. What we have to look at is the socio-economic situation in India at that time, and the Mughals and the Muslims, that is, they were the rulers. They had made the Hindus grade 2 citizens. Nobody can deny that. And though the history books written during the Congress time have tried to whitewash emperors like Akbar and Shah Jahan and others, but none of them had any sympathy for the Hindus. Gentlemen, the point we must understand is, and we must try to analyze that why a vast majority of people allowed a small minority to rule them, and they made no attempt to have a revolution or a fight or something like that and threw them away. That is the point at issue. And if the British had not come to India, what would have happened? The same situation would have continued to the 20th century, and the Hindus would have continued to pay jizya and other things and would have remained class 2 citizens. But when the British came to India and defeated the Muslim rulers like Tipu Sultan and the Nawab of Awadh, and later on occupied Delhi also during the mutiny, the fact is that they had an axe to grind against the majority, the minority ruling committee, entity, that is the Muslims, and so they went after them hammer and tongs, and at that time they supported the Hindus, and Hindus must thank the British that they came here and emancipated them and made them free from being serfs. I don't think I have to say anything more on this, gentlemen. This is just to digress and tell you that everything is not in a straight line. It's about time that the history books are rewritten. And talking of Akbar the Great and all that is a lot of BS. It's got no relevance. It's got no meaning. We have to write the truth. And the truth is that from about the 11th century till the time the British came, the Hindus were class 2 citizens in their own land. And they accepted this fate, thinking that it is something which is ordained by God. Well, gentlemen, I, for one, am very thankful that the British came to India, and whatever I see when I step out of my house, I see is a contribution of the same British Raj which the Congress government wanted to feed to the people to despise. Gentlemen, I will now close now and say Jai Hind, glory to India, look after yourself, take care. At the same time, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends, and come back for more. Goodbye.